Shoshana Shia, and in today's video I wanted to pick up on the fourth topic, I think it is, of related to the series of videos that I was doing from a question that a potential patron on my Patreon page had asked as to what products am I creating and what would somebody be supporting if they do join me on my Patreon. So in today's video, I wanted to share a thought related to shipping, as mentioned in my previous videos, which I'll list both in the show notes and at the end. So if you watch all the way to the end, you'll see one of my previous videos in this series. A thought first, before I dive into the issues related to shipping, is that one of the areas of occupational therapy that I very much enjoyed for a number of reasons, and I'll list just 2 or 3 of them, is the whole area of work rehabilitation, enabling somebody to be independent by helping them to have the skills that they need, whether they've had an illness or they've had an injury, or they're needing to change the way in which they're working. Perhaps they're needing to look at ergonomics so that they can prevent a carpal tunnel or a carpal tunnel injury, or perhaps they've had an injury of some other kind, a head injury, a back injury, all sorts of injuries we work with, and to help somebody to be gainfully employed. There are many times that we assist our clients to be able to go back into the type of work or working environment that they were in before. Now, obviously, in today's time, the whole area of work has changed, as many people are no longer working in a work environment, but are opting to work from home. Either they enjoy the lifestyle of being mobile, or they're wanting to be have more time with their family and their children, or somebody might have an illness, and for that reason they're wanting to be able to work from home because of the opportunity to manage their health more effectively, which is a situation with a number of different illnesses. Something that intrigued me as a student, and also through my years of working, was the whole idea of enabling somebody to maximize on their own inner talents, meaning that they could be using home industries as the term that we used years ago, making handmade products that could be developed into a cottage industry, into some kind of a business from home that would develop and expand and enable many people have been able to develop their home business to the extent that they're supporting their family. Maybe they're bringing in family members that then have the opportunity of being able to start to gain income as well, or they take their whole idea and their whatever items they're making. It could be woodwork, it could be metalwork, it could be weaving, either weaving from a hand loom, macrame, all sorts of different crafts and handwork give one the opportunity to be making things. I was looking and reminding myself recently of a document that I have that took a look at the benefits of maximizing and working with developing a business from home industries, and the benefit to the economy. And one of the tips or thoughts that comes out quite clearly is the statistics for developing countries as to what the benefit is of exporting. It could be souvenirs that people make, it could be garments, it could be functional items that people are making. There are all sorts of things that people make, and of course those who have other fine art skills can be designing as well, and painting. That's a separate issue, but it's always intrigued me and inspired me, and I've been really interested, the whole idea of not just getting into business for selling other people's items, but to be making items oneself. And this leads us into the whole concept of shipping and the importance of having a good shipping service. Because if you're going to be exporting, in other words, the items that you're making are not only for sale domestically, that they're delivered to, distributed, shipped to people within the country where you're living, but they're also being sent to people in other parts of the world, then the shipping company is really the make or break of how your business is going to work. That comes in various different details related to shipping. It could be the packaging of the item, the time involved, the expense involved in packaging an item correctly. And of course, that also means that if you're taking the time and the trouble to put in a personal note or to design a letterhead that goes with items, to have perhaps a stamp or a sticker that goes onto an envelope, customizing boxes. There are all sorts of ways that one can be improving one's branding through the packaging. So that's a whole area, and there are costs and expenses involved. Now comes the area of the shipping itself, and it's time consuming to go to a post office for each and every delivery. It's time consuming not only to travel to a post office, but also to stand in the queue, in the line, as they say in America, and take that time to wait your turn and go through whatever the postage is involved. Then we come to the type of shipping that's available. The problem comes about when a package goes astray. If somebody has opted for the cheapest type of shipping and it doesn't come with a tracking number, there's no ways of being able to know what's happened to that parcel. Did it get lost in transit? Has it been delayed in a warehouse somewhere? Perhaps it hasn't yet even been collected from the company. If somebody is using a door-to-door service, perhaps it hasn't even yet been collected. What is it that's happened? What is it that's delayed? A client, a customer sends in an email and says, I haven't yet received my product. What happened to it? And we need to know and to give information to our customers and our clients, because that's good customer service. So there's a benefit of having a tracking number, and that requires a slightly higher cost involved. That's another detail related to the shipping. I mentioned in passing a courier service, and now that brings in an opportunity to save time for the person who's developing their home industry, because now, instead of going and traveling to the post office and standing in the queue or standing in the line and waiting their turn and waiting, however, it could be 5 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, that they're just wasting time waiting to do this, all the process involved in making sure that shipment happens. A more effective means of doing the shipping, of handling the shipping, would be a door-to-door service. It's kind to the customer, and it's a time saver for the person who's developing their private practice. Now, when we come up with the opportunities for door-to-door service, a number of the courier services available if you're shipping overseas, from Israel, for example, whether it's going to be UPS, whether it's going to be FedEx, whatever company one chooses to use, as a startup, small business, the pricing is quite expensive. You have to get to be sending, to guarantee that you're sending, that there's going to be sales of at least 5 to 10 sales every month before you can be able to negotiate and bring down your pricing. So when you're starting out, shipping can be expensive, and that's one of the reasons that I'm hoping that I can get a few more patrons on board to help to bridge that gap as I'm working towards improving my sales on my online store. Aside from the cost involved with companies like FedEx and so on, it's not so easy for the small business to get into, to be signing up a contract or negotiating what their pricing is. And for the domestic ship door-to-door service as well, there are more and more companies that come involved, but again, a lot of them expect one to be able to guarantee that you're going to have either a certain amount that you're paying every month of your shipping, of sales that are happening, of items that are to be delivered, or you're doing at least a minimum of 100 sales every month, which is what one of the companies told me. There was for a while a company that had to an extent, a great service that they offered, that they were a go-between between the small business and these door-to-door courier services. Unfortunately, there was a problem with them that they could never give me pricing, which delayed my marketing and promoting my online store, because I wanted to be able to have those honest prices that I knew always. If I'm shipping an item of half a kilo that's going as a domestic shipment, or half a kilo of a box that's being sent overseas, what exactly will the price be? And then obviously I have to add in what are my packaging supplies, and that all gets factored in as well to the shipping cost. Now, if somebody is refusing to give me prices, that makes it very difficult to set my pricing in my website, which is important for online sales. Obviously, if somebody's coming to purchase from me in person, the shipping doesn't become a problem, and I don't need to have that pricing. So when that company that was the bridge between the small customer, the small business, and the delivery companies, when they closed around Rosh Hashanah time of this last Rosh Hashanah that went, it posed a little bit of a problem as to who would I turn to next to do my shipping. I did approach a couple of companies that I'd got to know through this go-between company. Some of them were very happy to continue working with me, and then proceeded to send me a contract. I looked through 2 or 3 of these companies, of their contracts. One of them has a 4-page contract, which is in quite detailed Hebrew. My Hebrew skills are not quite good enough for that kind of business language, and so I asked a friend to help to translate. And after just the first page, even the translation in English was highly complex, that it was so confusing. I thought, I don't know what they are talking about. And it's really sad, because it's not necessary. The shipping is quite a simple procedure, and it should be very easy to be able to write the terms and conditions for the person, the small business, the person who's developing their home industry, to be able to say, yes, I understand, all of your terms are completely, they make sense. I agree with this, you agree with that. We're entering into a partnership, and we'll be working together so that I can make sure that the items that are purchased from me can be able to get to my clients or my customer. Now, the next company that I looked at their contract, they had 2 clauses that their Hebrew at least was a lot easier to understand. My husband and I went through I think it was a 3-page contract. Unfortunately, there were 2 clauses that I didn't like for various reasons, and I've gone back to them, and I hope that we could be able to negotiate or discuss that a little bit. I'm still trying to work through that and to see what the potential is to be able to come to some kind of a solution around these 2 clauses that were problematic. Then came the next door-to-door service that I heard about. This time, at least the person that I would be dealing with came and met me in our home, and that seemed quite nice, but I was quite intrigued by the process, because when it came to looking at the contract, the response from this person that I would be dealing with was, nobody really reads a contract, just sign it. I had absolutely no idea what I was signing, and what concerned me was, having started to look at other contracts and discovering that there were clauses that I didn't like in a different contract. Why would I now sign something that I had absolutely no idea as to what I was signing to? I was then given a page that said I was going to be agreeing that I wouldn't be shipping a list of what items I wouldn't be shipping. The problem is that she kept that list and I wasn't allowed to have the list. So how would I know if I had just signed this document? Again, I was rushed through what was on that list. And when I wanted to review it, when I had a look at the documents that she gave me, that piece of paper didn't exist. And I called her and I said to her, could you please tell me what happened? I need to have this list because I need to make sure that I'm not going to be sending the items that you don't want me to be sending. So I was a little bit concerned to hear that that piece of paper remains with her and I'm not permitted to have a copy. Well, if I'm not allowed to have a copy, how do I know that I'm not going to be sending the items they don't want me to send? That was a question that I didn't like. The next issue with this particular company is that when we had somebody contact us through our online store, I'll backtrack a second and say that having requested both international and domestic shipment, the person who came to sit with us was convinced that all we were interested in was domestic shipment and was not interested in helping us whatsoever to be able to ship anything internationally. Well, the first sale that came about a few weeks later was from somebody located in Ireland. Firstly, the company who'd contacted us couldn't understand the address that came from the potential customer in Ireland. But then when I called the person to say to them, please could they let us know what would the price be? This is the size of the envelope. I had the exact measurements. This is the weight involved. This is the destination. It's being shipped from Jerusalem. It's being shipped to this address in Ireland. Please could you tell me what the price would be? It took many daily phone calls over 3 days and we still did not have a price, at which stage, unfortunately, we lost our sale. So there are a number of difficulties that come into finding a suitable shipping company here in Israel. The ideal would be a door-to-door service. I'm still on the lookout. I'm still trying to figure out these contracts and to find those ways to be able to negotiate and to have prices that are acceptable and are affordable, that will give the tracking number that's necessary, that will make sure that the package is going to get to the customer in as shortest time as possible, that it's not going to be taking 3 days or a week just to figure out pricing before we can even package the item and deal with the process involved and get the item collected from us. Sometimes if somebody wants an item shipped to them, they request it to get to them within a week. If it takes a week to be collected from us, it's not going to get to them in a week. So that's an issue. My feeling is that shipping is really important. It's one reason why at this stage, although I love painting and creating items in person, physical items, I like knitting, I like sewing, I like doing wall hangings. There are a range of all sorts of things, as you'll see if you do take a look at my online store, all the creative gifts that we create. And you'll also see that some of the items are printed onto products, designs that I'm working on improving my designing in order to print onto products. And some of them are my new journals a new category that's coming to the store. And one of the reasons and the motivator for that is the items that are done through KDP, they very kindly print the item for us and ship it directly, and I don't have to deal with the shipping company for that, which is a huge relief. The other is the print on products. Currently I'm using Printful, and Printful very kindly prints. If you order an item that's printed onto a mug, onto a t-shirt, onto a backpack, we have a number of different fun items that have come into our store. There are many more that I can be designing and creating, and once again Printful does the printing for us and the shipping, and I don't have to worry about these shipping companies. So right now I hope that gives a little bit of insight as to some of behind the scenes of what happens with shipping an item, and why I'm still searching for the right shipping company. If anybody has their own creative gifts that they send and they're happy with their shipping company and they can help me get through this learning curve and discover the right company to work with that's going to be reliable, have good pricing, and be easy to work with, I'd love to hear. In the meantime, we've reached a little bit of a roadblock, and that's one of the reasons why something that you would be able to assist me with if you become a member on a patron on my Patreon would be enabling me to take the time either to find those correct shipping companies or couriers, or to help to reduce the shipping cost so that those people who are interested in purchasing an item from us, we could be able to potentially subsidize a little bit until we get to a stage that we have our 5, 10 or 100 sales every month happening, that we can be able to say, to go back to those couriers, to those door-to-door shipping companies and say, right, we have the statistics that you're looking for, can we now please negotiate better pricing? That's what the whole topic is for those who wish to be a member on our Patreon, and I'd be very grateful if you do become a member. If you have other questions of other products that we're creating, you can have a look in my online store, which you'll find on creationsfromjerusalem.com, and you can also have a look at the other videos in this little series, which I'll put a link to both in the show notes below and also link at the end of this video. So hope that explains about shipping, the importance of shipping, and the problem that I'm hoping to solve, hopefully sooner rather than later. Ciao for now.